Ever pondered about the repetition of specific patterns in your existence? Or queried why your reactions are predictable, even against your will? Life is a multifaceted spectacle of experiences, sentiments, and engagements, each sculpting us and our viewpoints. Have you ever hit the pause button to ponder, to dive deep into your soul to decipher the reason for your being? Here we commence the voyage of self-realization and individual development. In our drive to comprehend ourselves, we often neglect the presence of our shadow. The shadow is a notion borrowed from the domain of psychology, a brainchild of the renowned psychologist Carl Jung. It signifies the fragments of us that we frequently disavow or disregard, the parts that we're not pleased with, the parts that lurk in the recesses of our subconscious. Jung had faith that holds our profoundest fears, insecurities, and the aspects of our personality that we have learned to repress in our developmental years. But it's not all despair and dread. The shadow also contains our untapped potential, our concealed talents, and the key to understanding our genuine selves. The shadow isn't our adversary, but rather a misinterpreted fragment of us. It's like a chamber that's always been shrouded, where we've stashed away things we didn't want to confront. And like any dim chamber, the only thing it demands is a flicker of light. This segues us to the concept of shadow work. It's a progression of exploring your inner obscurity, of facing your fears, of accepting your imperfections, and most crucially, of embracing your authentic self. It's an exercise that motivates you to illuminate the hidden aspects of your personality, to unearth the secrets that your shadow work isn't solely about comprehending our negative patterns or reactions, but also about unveiling our concealed strengths and talents. It's about acknowledging and accepting our complete self, the light and the dark, the good and the bad. To fathom ourselves better, we need to illuminate our shadows, and that's where shadow work steps in. In the early 20th century, a Swiss psychiatrist named Carl Jung introduced a revolutionary concept, the shadow. This was a radical shift in understanding the human psyche, which until then had been largely viewed as a singular unified entity. Shadow work, as Jung called it, was about exploring the darker, hidden parts of our personality, those aspects we often choose to ignore or deny. Let's delve deeper into Jung's philosophy. He proposed that our personality is multifaceted, like a diamond with numerous faces. Each face, each facet represents a different part of us. Some facets are in the light, visible for us and others to see. These are our conscious thoughts, our behaviors, and traits that we identify with. But what about the facets that are hidden in the shadow, the ones we don't want to acknowledge? According to Jung, these hidden parts are the elements of our personality that we've denied, ignored, or hidden away. These could be traits we're ashamed of, fears we're running from, or dreams we've abandoned. Jung didn't see the shadow as something negative or evil. Quite the contrary, he believed that the shadow holds great potential for growth and transformation. He argued that by acknowledging and confronting these hidden aspects, we can start to understand and integrate them into our conscious self. It's like a journey of self-discovery, a deep dive into the very essence of who we are. But it's not an easy journey. It requires courage and commitment, a willingness to face our fears and embrace our flaws. It's about looking in the mirror and accepting all parts of ourselves, even the ones we'd rather hide. But why should we embark on this journey? What's the point of shadow work? Jung believed that by facing our shadow, we can uncover hidden strengths and talents. We can become more authentic, more whole, more truly ourselves. And in doing so, we can live a more fulfilling and meaningful life. So, in essence, Jung's philosophy of shadow work is about embracing our whole self, both the light and the shadow. It's about understanding that our shadow is not our enemy, but a guide to understanding ourselves better. It's about realizing that the journey to self-discovery is not just about finding the light, but also about exploring the darkness within. Jung believed that our shadow is not our enemy, but a guide to understanding ourselves better. While the concept of shadow work originated with Jung, it wasn't confined to his theories alone. Other philosophers like Nietzsche, Hegel, and Descartes also provided their interpretations. Take Friedrich Nietzsche, for instance. He believed that embracing our shadow, our darker side, was an essential step towards self-overcoming. He famously said, "Whoever fights monsters should see to it that in the process he does not become a monster." And if you gaze long enough into an abyss, the abyss will gaze back into you. For Nietzsche, shadow work was about acknowledging the abyss within ourselves and not turning away from it, but rather confronting it head-on. Then we have Georg Wilhelm Friedrich Hegel. His philosophy was centered around the idea of dialectic. He believed that everything, including our shadow, is a part of the absolute. He stated, "Genuine tragedies in the world are not conflicts between right and wrong. They are conflicts between two rights." This suggests that Hegel saw shadow work as a reconciliation of the opposing forces within us, not a battle between good and evil. Finally, let's consider René Descartes. Known for his method of systematic doubt, Descartes might have seen shadow work as a process of questioning and doubting our self-perceptions. His famous quote, "I think, therefore I am," implies that our existence is rooted in our thoughts. By this token, acknowledging and working with our shadow could be seen as an act of self-affirmation. These philosophical interpretations have enriched and expanded Jung's concept of shadow work. They've added depth, painting a picture of shadow work as more than just a psychological practice. It's a philosophical journey, a voyage into the self, where we confront our darkness, reconcile our contradictions, and affirm our existence. These interpretations only deepen the understanding of our shadow and how it impacts our lives. Today, we are witnessing the impact of shadow work in contemporary psychology and self-help practices. Let's dive in deeper and examine how these theories are being implemented in our times. One of the most prevalent techniques for shadow work today is journaling. When we move our thoughts from our mind to paper, we're giving ourselves a concrete lens to view our internal emotions and thoughts. It's like holding a mirror up to our shadow, facing it directly, and starting to decode its intricate layers. Then we have the tarot cards. It might sound mysterious and enigmatic to some, but within the scope of shadow work, it's all about symbolism and self-reflection. Each card represents a unique aspect of our personality, including our shadow. As we explore the meanings of the cards, we enter into a conversation with our subconscious, unraveling mysteries that would otherwise stay concealed. Another significant aspect is dream work. Our dreams serve as a gateway to our subconscious mind, the dwelling place of the shadow. By dissecting our dreams, we're able to decipher the coded messages from our shadow, enabling us to comprehend our fears, desires, and the parts of ourselves we've overlooked or repressed. These modern-day applications of shadow work, including journaling, tarot cards, and dream work, are reshaping our understanding of ourselves, paving the way for personal growth and self-discovery. So, what does this journey into our shadow teach us? Well, it teaches us that self-discovery is a constant journey, a path that leads us towards understanding the deepest, most hidden parts of ourselves. It's about embracing the darkness within us, the shadow self that Carl Jung spoke of. This shadow is not something to fear, but rather something to engage with, to learn from. It's about acknowledging that even in the darkest corners of our psyche lie hidden talents, untapped potential, and fragments of our inner child longing for expression. Shadow work, as we've discovered, is one of the most profound and transformative processes we can undertake. It's a process of peeling back layers, of delving into our subconscious and unearthing aspects of ourselves we've kept hidden. This work can manifest in various forms, from journaling to tarot cards, dream work, or even void states. Each method offers a unique pathway into our shadow, allowing us to explore and understand it better. The philosophical interpretations of Nietzsche, Hegel, and Descartes remind us that our shadows are not separate from us, but rather integral parts of our being. They urge us to confront our shadows, to engage with them, and in doing so, to embrace our complete selves. But why is this important? Because by understanding our shadow, we can break recurring patterns in our lives. We can recognize the behaviors, emotions, and thoughts that stem from our shadow and choose to respond to them differently. It's a journey of self-empowerment, of taking control of our lives and steering them in the direction we want. And let's not forget the potential benefits of shadow work. It can lead to personal growth, improved well-being, and a deeper connection with our inner selves. It can help us uncover hidden talents, foster emotional resilience, and cultivate a sense of clarity, purpose, and passion. Remember, the journey of self-discovery isn't always easy, but it is always worth it. So, will you take the first step towards your shadow today? As we come to the conclusion of our immersion into the shadow, let us contemplate a deeply insightful quote by the renowned Carl Jung. One does not become enlightened by imagining figures light, but by making the darkness conscious. This profound thought, dear listeners, epitomizes the very core of shadow work. It's not about creating a facade of perfection and light, it's about recognizing, comprehending, and embracing our darkness. Our journey reflects our individual shadow work as we confront our personal demons and accept our shadow to evolve. So let's accept our shadows, explore our subconscious, and reveal the hidden parts of ourselves. We too are required to venture into the unknown, our own shadows, to genuinely comprehend ourselves and flourish. It might be a demanding journey, but remember, in the words of Carl Jung, one does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious.